Hi, my name is Reddy. My background is agriculture. Since my PhD, I've been working with the remote sensing tools. Last 8 years, I've been working on developing an automatic workflow for processing airborne imaging spectroscopy data. So in the part of a different research program, we have been developing different tools, hardware, software, and different protocols for processing the imaging spectroscopy data. So my presentation outline comprises is a brief introduction about the agriculture, quantifying a different posture and soil attributes using a lab, leaf, field spectroscopy. And ground truthing airborne hyperspectral images using ASD field spec, and software and hardware involved for processing a large volume hyperspectral data. Why agriculture is important? In New Zealand, 70% of the merchandise exports coming from agriculture, where majority, as you see on the screen, dairy and meat are the major contribution in the exports. To feed cattle, they use grass as the main resource. As you see on the screen, grass is available everywhere across the country because of the temperature, because of the temporal climate. It grows widely in different seasons. But the quality of the grass is very important to improve the animal performance and also improve the productivity of dairy and meat products. The quality of the grass influenced by so many factors. Soil is one of the important driver which influences the quality of the posture. In order to maintain the quality of the posture, we need to know posture quality and soil quality. Traditionally, we use some tools to measure the quality of the posture and the soil. But problem is it not a cost-effective process, and also we don't get any spatial information using those tools. Then we started with the lab spectroscopy, where we collect the samples and send it to the lab, either posture or soil samples, so to know what is the chemistry of those samples. But again, you need to cut the samples to get the results. And also the information getting to the farmer after posture has been grazed. Then we started working with a leaf spectroscopy. Can we really determine leaf chemistry using these spectroscopy tools? Then we found very encouraging results. Then we moved on to the field spectroscopy. In the field spectroscopy, we have developed a field protocols as Sanchez and Anders. They worked before me and developed this artificial light probe to collect spectral measurements from the posture canopy. By using this probe along with the field spectroscopy instrument, we able to obtain very accurate posture attributes, posture chemical composition. Using this posture composition, we created a model to understand the soil fertility as well. So based on this posture composition, we also able to estimate the soil quality. For example, what are the nutrients present in the soil? But again, this field spectroscopy is giving a limited information at a point scale information. Most of the forms are very big. We need a spatial scale information, and we need to cover a large spatial extent. Then we started working with a airborne spectroscopy. As Ian and Alvaro and Gabor has mentioned, we have developed this airborne imaging spectroscopy platform, where this aircraft packed with the spectrophotometer, which is manufactured by Specim, and combined with other GPS tools and RGB other cameras. The problem is, as compared to the field spectroscopy and other spectroscopy instruments, airborne imaging spectroscopy dealing with the data and analyzing is very, very challenging, because we are completely working under field conditions. We don't know what kind of information is collecting. But the Committee of Earth Observation Satellite recently initiated the Quality Assurance Framework for Earth observation, which demands that all data and derived products shall have associated with them a fully traceable indicator of their quality. But in case of airborne imaging spectroscopy, still there is no standard protocols. Based on a European airborne facility, we have adopted some of the protocols implemented in our research program. This spectrophotometer, what we have been using, is manufactured by the SPECIM. They do radiometric calibration every year. As we don't have any lab facilities to check radiometric calibration, we are not doing any lab work. We are only checking, calibrating and validating in field conditions. In order to obtain the high quality reflectance product, we need to implement a serious correction on the raw data. The spectral and radiometric calibration usually performed under lab conditions. However, the instrument performance might change after installation in the aircraft, because it's the aging of the optics, electronic components, temperature, misalignment due to mechanical vibration. We introduced several protocols. One of them is a spectral shift, noise correction on the raw data, radiometric calibration, geometric correction, topographic BRDF correction, atmospheric correction, and finally estimating reflectance estimation. In our case, if you are strictly speaking in a scientific language, we are trying to produce hemispherical diffuse reflectance factor as a final output. Coming to the spectral shift, what is spectral shift? When the sensor moves to field condition, there are several changes going to happen in the sensor. Small shifts of the central wavelength of these channels located in the atmosphere absorption regions will lead to errors in the surface reflectance. Usually, perceptible images, variance recorded at the sensor aperture by the appearance of spikes and dips on the spectrum. Here is the example on the screen. The red line is obtained from the signature obtained from the field spectroradiometer, and the blue line obtained from the airborne imaging spectrophotometer is not matching well. You see there is a lot of spikes which are arised from the aerial signature, these errors significantly propagates through the analysis, and the quality of the final reflectance product degrades significantly. What we are doing, we are implementing based on natural absorptions which present in a radiance. For example, water, carbon dioxide, and other absorptions. We try to use a spectral matching algorithm to fit which part of the spectrum is moving, shifting. By using this method, we significantly reduce the spectral shift in the sensor. Again, we also removing the high frequency noise which appeared in the raw data. If you remove the noise in the beginning, it significantly reduces the error on the final product on the reflectance. The second method is the radiometric calibration. Once we collect the radiance from the airborne instrument, at the same time, we also collect reflectance using a calibrated spectroradiometer. After collecting this reflectance, we convert into edge sensor radiance using a Motron calculations. Then we compare what is the change between both signatures. Is it really coming from atmosphere? Is it really coming from any other changes? Then we change, we try to reduce the error between ground spectra to the airborne spectra. After that, ortho rectification. The sensor, we are flying very close to the surface. That means around 1,000 to 1,200 meters. And the aircraft has a lot of jittering effect, which creates a serious problem. As you see on the screen, the view angle from the sensor is highly jittery. This attitude refers to the periodic instability and distortion of the sensor attitude that mainly caused by variable speed position of the aircraft, which leads to sensor noise, and also attitude angles, roll, pitch, and yaw. Therefore, we need an accurate attitude. It is very essential to minimize the geopositional errors. The roll pitch angles from the instrument also be processed carefully. If there is any spikes in the data, we remove and we try to avoid those problems. Even after correcting that, on the right hand side, you can see this is RGB image obtained properly georeferenced, and the right side image obtained from the airborne image. These hyperspectral images has a lot of geopositional errors. How we are going to rectify that? We tried several methods, but we got a little success. But recently we found we are using a method using a high resolution RGB method based on objects we are matching with the hyperspectral images. Using this method, we significantly reduce the geopositional errors from few meters to less than 1 meter.
2 minutes to go.
Then coming to the atmospheric correction, it is very essential to remove the artifacts which appear in the atmosphere, which is coming from the different aerosol particles and also dust particles which present in the atmosphere. For example, when we survey in a different forms, each strip has a different illumination conditions. We need to optimize, we need to get a uniform reflectance across the form. How we are going to address it? And also topography. In New Zealand, the topography is highly elevated. As you see on the screen, this is the typical shape of the hill country. Because most of the atmospheric corrections are designed on a flat terrain. But in our case, the topography is completely elevated. So in this case, we are accounting geometry at a pixel scale. What is the sensor view geometry at pixel scale? And also sun geometry at pixel scale. We calculate and we include in the atmospheric correction process. At pixel scale, we generate all the geometry. This information we include in the metadata and we calculate in the atmospheric correction process. In addition to that, one other atmospheric constituents such as visibility and column water vapor also we calculate at a pixel scale. By accounting all pixel scale information, we significantly reduce the error on the final product and the reflectance. Finally, we do another quality check. Once we able to generate a reflectance from a standard TORP. This TORP is painted with the barium sulfate. In order to avoid bouncing reflectance from the adjacent pixels, so we used a black border, so it significantly reduces the adjacent reflectance from neighboring pixels. So after doing all these several corrections, black line indicates the signature coming from the ground spectroradiometer, and the green line indicates the signature coming from the airborne instrument. Is it closely matching? Still, we need to implement several corrections to get as close as possible. And also, we are accounting how much uncertainty coming from the different corrections. Next, all these corrections, since it involves very complex corrections, can we really automate all these corrections? We have developed an automatic workflow. Once we get the raw data from the sensor, all the process will be automated. Finally, you get the one single GIS layer, reflectance to GIS layer, that it goes to the database. We design the hardware and software which is able to process the large volume data within a small time. And also in the middle, we provided a lot of quality checks. What is the uncertainty at each level? Radiometric level, what is the uncertainty? At atmospheric correction, what is the uncertainty level? And also at the final layer also, we created, once we get the high quality reflectance product, we transform into useful products such as a classification model using well-established deep learning approaches. And also we can able to quantify nutrient maps and also underlying information, soil quality information as well. In addition to estimated values, we also provide the uncertainty maps at a pixel scale. So from this presentation, the conclusion is in order to infer high quality reflectance product, we need to implement high quality data control procedure are required, and those are very essential. And also independent vicarious validation activities are essential to monitor instrument condition. That's all. Thank you very much.